it had been going on for 40 years. And I never thought that this would be possible for me, that this recovery, the way I feel it right now, would be available. Like, honestly, I thought I was the woman who died with all the eating issues. I don't feel that way anymore.
Welcome to the Live Unrestricted podcast, a show where you'll learn how to heal your relationship with food and your body so that you can focus your time and energy on more important things like your personal growth. I'm your host, Sabrina Magna, food freedom coach, and my mission is to help make your life happier and healthier without stress, overwhelm, or guilt about food. If you love the show, please do go out and share it. And if you're looking for support with your relationship with food, details about my programs are in the show notes. Thanks for spending time with me today. Now let's jump in. One of the things that keeps so many women in my community stuck and repeating the same patterns with food and their body and exercise is not a lack of knowledge. Most of you are so smart and so capable, and you could probably write a book on your triggers and nutrition and food rules. The biggest problem I see is being alone in this and falling victim to your own thoughts of fear and self-doubt and, oh my God, what if this happens, and not being able to trust yourself. And that's exactly why I love bringing real women on this podcast to share their stories, because I know that hearing a podcast and having me behind the mic is great and it's super useful, but it can also be hard to relate to because this is what I do for a living. And although I struggled with disordered eating and body dysmorphia, that was years ago. And there's something that happens when you can see yourself in someone else's story, someone who you can relate to, who you can see, oh my God, I went through this and I feel this way and I can relate to this. And so today's guest is so incredibly special. And I'm so excited to bring to you Stephanie. She is one of our Food Freedom Academy recent graduates, and her story is one that I know a lot of you are going to feel right in your chest. She is someone who, from the outside, had it completely together. A high-level athlete, a teacher, a woman praised constantly for her discipline, her control, for being so healthy. And for 40 years, you guys, she carried this internal battle that even the closest people to her life could not fully see. So we talk about what it felt like to function well on the outside while something was quietly running the show underneath it. We talk about the moment where she finally knew that she couldn't keep going the way that she was, what it felt like to go through the incredibly messy middle of real healing, and where she is now, which in her own words is the first time that she genuinely feels free. And she shared some words of wisdom at the end of that conversation that I cannot stop thinking about, and you are going to want to hear it. So without further ado, let's get into the conversation with the incredible Stephanie. I would love for you to tell our listeners a little bit about what your relationship with food, with your body, and with exercise was like before we started working together.
Yeah. So I think it's worth saying, I've struggled with these issues for a long, long time. Since I was 16, I sort of had like a time of healing, and then that messy middle where I was still not healed and struggling. And then when the pandemic hit, it really amped up again. And I convinced myself that I was okay because I was eating, right? But the exercise just really ramped up during the pandemic, where I was like working out 3-4 hours a day, like a lot. And most of it was cardio. And along with that was like restriction during the day. And then I'd be like, well, I did all this exercise. I deserve to eat now. So then I, you know, eat a lot at night, feel guilty about it, and, start the whole thing the next day. So it was a really destructive relationship for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
A lot of using exercise as a way to earn your food and justify and kind of control your body.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the hard part too was because like I was, considered people called me a high level athlete. Like I did marathons, I've done Ironman, half Ironman. And, I always got praised because I was you're so disciplined, like you're so in control, you eat so well, and they just didn't know like the inner voice that was driving me. Like it's the motivation behind it. Like it was all punishment. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, that is so relatable. And that's exactly what I went through when I was struggling with orthorexia. And I would love to kind of rewind even a little bit because you mentioned like there was kind of a new wave, a new manifestation of it during the pandemic, but this wasn't new to you. This was something that you had struggled with before. And so, do you remember how it started for you and kind of what it looked like over the years? Because I think that at least what I've seen in you guys in my community and in Food Freedom Academy and in my own experience is that it shifts shapes and it changes from one time period to another and it looks different. And so what was that like for you?
I mean, my eating disorder started when I was 15 or 16. And I grew up it was my sister and I, we were 6.5 years apart. I'm the oldest. My father was an alcoholic. He's recovered now, but, we were always told to be quiet, tiptoe around, don't upset. And so I feel like if I could shrink myself as small as possible, then I wouldn't be a bother to anybody, right? So just hide into the corner, be quiet, get straight A's, still be a good athlete, but just shrink, shrink, shrink. And I think that's kind of where it started. And in the first little bit, it was a lot really about the food, like not eating as little as possible. Like there would be days when I, you know, had salad, just the lettuce, nothing else. And I was hospitalized a couple times. I actually almost died once. Yeah, because, you restrict so long and like you tell us, well, then, you know, once you start, like you just keep going. And then it turned into a battle with bulimia.
Mm,
And so a lot of binging and purging, again, because I think there was like the restriction and then we all know that cycle.
yeah.
And then I did get kind of a handle on it to the point where I was still working out because I needed that checked box
Hmm.
to be okay so I could still eat. And I sort of maintained that for quite a while. I would say for 20 years or so,
Mm,
maybe even more, but it was always very controlled, very, very rigid. But to the outside world, I was functioning, right? Like I didn't look underweight or anything like that. I was a teacher, full-time job, like teaching phys ed, of course, like the fitness courses. That's what I taught.
yeah.
Doing my racing. So it was all very functional
Yeah.
and very praised again, for the discipline, the control, the way that was. And then when we got locked down in the pandemic, I think the tiny thread that was holding everything together just finally snapped. And I was looking for a way to get that control back again.
Yeah. I think it's so important to talk about those 20 years where you mentioned like it looked like I had it together and I was moving my body and I was eating and I wasn't underweight. And there's such a misconception about issues with food and with exercise, that it's going to look a certain way and that your body is going to look a certain way, or that you're either starving or you're underweight. And as you've seen in Food Freedom Academy, like, we have a lot of women who come in who have very similar personalities, very similar histories, where it's like, it feels like you are successful in so many areas of your life and you've got it together. And it's such a internal battle that you're going through that you can't really explain to people and describe. And when during those 20 years, when it was like kind of under control, did you feel like you could ever relax or feel at peace, like you had finally arrived?
No, no, I didn't even really feel like that because there was always that, like, just that drive. Like, the eating disorder was still in control.
Yeah.
Like, that was for sure. Like, I never missed a day of exercise. If I was injured, I figured out a way to exercise around the injury.
Hmm.
If I was sick, I was like, "Oh, well, it's not my chest, it's just my head. It's fine, it'll be fine." So, yeah, like, I had that box had to be checked
Yeah.
even
And
then.
how did you feel? Did you feel like this was normal? Did you think like, "Oh, this is maybe not the way I'm supposed to be living?" Like, what was your internal experience of that?
It was I knew what I was doing was not normal. Just like when I was, like, bulimic and binging and purging, I knew that wasn't normal, but it was how I was coping, and I think this was the same. Like, I was never I was never relaxed, I was never at peace, I was always frantic about, okay, I can't do, if people wanted to go out spontaneously, well, I can't do that because I gotta train. And it was always training. It wasn't working out because I was doing a race, right? Or no, I can't eat that. Like, I had a very succinct list of foods that were allowed and not allowed. Times when I could eat, like, I couldn't eat dinner before this time, even if I was going out. It meant I had to wait till I get home, and then, like, you don't even know what's happening
Yeah.
um, when you're out, because all you can think about is, I gotta eat, right? Like, it was just, I felt like I was on a hamster wheel
Yeah.
all the whole time. Yeah.
And how did that make you feel?
Exhausted. It was, like, exhausting. I really felt like, I don't want to say I hated my life because I didn't. Like, I had so many great things in my life, but this was always the program that was on repeat and wouldn't let go. And it was it was like a living hell in my head, to be perfectly honest, if I'm
Yeah.
yeah.
And I get it, and I think a lot of people who are listening will get it too, because I also look back at that time in my life and I'm the same. I'm like, I didn't hate my life because I had a lot of good things happening, but it's almost like it's this big black cloud that is over all of that and
Mhm.
diminishes all of that and makes it less, like you weren't as present and you weren't really there being able to experience those things and appreciate those things. And so I think that even though it's brutally honest, like, living hell is a pretty good way to describe what it feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like your analogy of, like, the big cloud overhead, just
Yeah. And
mm,
do you feel like it impacted your social life, your relationships, your mood, how you felt about yourself?
yes, all of the above. For sure. Like, I mean, I did have friends. I had close friends who, I couldn't talk to this about because everybody thought, oh, she's fine. She's better. Like, they knew about the past with the eating disorder, but they didn't know about the present with the eating disorder.
Mhm.
Um, in terms of mood, like, my mood was up and down all over the place. I think there was a lot of depression that went on with it, to be perfectly honest. But just like this, is this really how my life is going to be? Yeah. And it was in terms of relationships, like, I had a few relationships in the early, like, 2000s, late the late 1900s, as I like to call it,
Back in the late
back in the
1900s.
late 1900s. But again, I wasn't fully present in those relationships.
Mhm.
I met my current husband in 2008, and I think that was sort of at the point where I was like starting to do like the endurance races, and he was always proud of me. I think he realized more what was going on than he would ever let on. But yeah,
Yeah.
there was a lot of secrecy.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And when you were going through all of that, did you feel like I need to do something about this? I need to change this. I need to heal this. I need to get support with this? Or did it almost feel like this is the only thing that's keeping me running like this? How did it feel?
At the time, I mean, before the pandemic hit, like really honestly, I felt like, okay, well, I guess this is how my life is going to go. This is how it has to be for me to feel safe, really. And I would think about it sometimes. I would think about, wow, am I really going to be, 65 or 70 years old and still like, running for 2 hours a day and then, having all these food rules or whatever. Like I would think about it. And then I'm like, okay, well, I guess maybe at that point. And then when things started to get really out of control in the pandemic, and that is the only way that I would describe it. Somebody described it to me as exercise bulimia, and that's what it was. I knew that I couldn't, this was not sustainable. This was going to kill me. Like I was seriously afraid.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that you only came into the program a couple of months ago, and
Mhm.
it sounds like you're describing it started around the pandemic. And so how long did it take you before in a way you hit a rock bottom where you're like, I need to do something about this?
Yeah. So I said I was a teacher and I was teaching the exercise science course. And I got a sports nutritionist to come in, and she started talking about REDS, relative energy deficiency in sport. And I'm like, oh, that's me, right? Like that's me. It's just I'm not eating enough, right? And so I started to work with her one on one. And she did get me to decrease the exercise a little bit, still way out of control, but it was a little better. And then I think the real kicker for me was my mom was diagnosed with cancer in 2021. And I remember the summer of that year, she wanted to just go away for a weekend with my sister and me. And the panic that I felt over like going away overnight and not being able to get up in the morning and do the exercise. Like it was too much. It was so overwhelming. And I'm like, I can't, I can't. And like it was paralyzing, like paralyzing. And unfortunately, so that must have been 2022 because the following June, we lost my mom.
Mm.
And that is probably one of my biggest regrets. And that was when I was just like, I got to get my shit together because this is this is not okay. And at that point, I did start working one on one with a coach, and she was great, right? Like she really helped me a lot and put lots of things in place. Like I got rid of my Apple Watch. Like she really helped me with helping to learn to regulate my nervous system. And then she introduced me to a lot of different podcasts. And that's how I found you through, I think it was maybe Abby Atwood's podcast.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And I heard you and you just resonated so much to me. So I started like listening to you, listening to you, listening to you. And the group dynamic was so attractive to me
Mm.
because it was like people were going to be talking about similar issues than me. And I felt like that was a missing piece.
Yeah. 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 I hear you. And before we go into some of kind of the lessons and looking back 2020 and being able to see what you were missing. How did you relate to what you were going through? Meaning, like, what did you think was the problem when you were over exercising or super controlling with food? Did you think, like, maybe I'm just addicted to food? Maybe I'm broken? Like, what was your internal self talk of what was happening?
Oh, that's a good question. I think I was addicted to exercise,
Hmm.
but honestly, I think I didn't think I had any worth outside of who I was as an athlete. And I think that's when it comes right down to it, my whole self-worth was tied into my athleticism, having that particular body, how I looked, that the control and the discipline that came with all that. And I
Hmm.
think that is where my entire worth was centered. And so if I didn't have that anymore, what good was I? Like
Hmm.
why, how was I useful? Yeah.
Yeah, that's so powerful. And that level of awareness, it's a hard place to be because you can know that intellectually. You can see how much of your worth is either tied to how well you're eating or how much you're exercising or what your body looks like. But then to deconstruct that and then to go about like building an entirely new foundation from within inside of your nervous system, inside of your body and your subconscious is like a whole other project. And so you joined the group and you loved the idea of being surrounded by people. What did you have any fears, any doubts before starting? Anything that almost made you stop from saying yes?
Sure. Um, I was terrified of what was my body going to look like what was going to happen. Was I going to gain weight? Was anybody going to notice? For me, that was terrifying. You know, the judgment, I think, of what other people would think, because it's so hard in the culture that we live in to say, well, I'm not buying into this idea of perfection or body image or whatever anymore. I'm doing something different. And that was really, that was terrifying. That was really hard. Yeah.
Yeah. And what were some of the biggest shifts or lessons that you learned early on that kind of made you feel a little bit safer doing this, continuing to do this work?
Like if I'm thinking about some of the modules that is out, yeah. Like I really like the one with just the connection between like your body. Like I can't remember. It's the second module. I can't remember what it's called. I looked over everything before we started, but sort of that one, like just like, okay, like it's, even though I ate breakfast, if I'm hungry at 10 o'clock, like it's okay to eat. Like just really honoring my body and hunger cues and really tuning into that. Like, and it's the same with exercise too. I think one of the things you said and other people have said to me too, is it coming from a place of punishment, or is it coming from a place of love or kindness
Hmm.
or tolerance or whatever? And I think that was really helpful for me as like a starting point, because it allowed me to, I'm a morning workout kind of girl. But it sort of let me get up and be like, okay, so how am I feeling today? Like, okay, so like my legs are tired today. Well, maybe we do some stretching, or maybe we do some upper body stuff, or it doesn't have to always be like rigid. Like, because before it would be like Monday I did this, Tuesday I did this, like so that was really good too. And then the whole section, the rewiring your beliefs,
Hmm.
that that was a big one for me, for sure.
Why?
Um, because like just the whole exercise of finding the evidence, right? Because it's one thing to say, "Oh, my worth is not tied to my fitness or my body or whatever," but well, it's great to say it, but where's the evidence?
Yeah.
And, I would sit down every night and be like, okay, I got to find three things. Where is it? And so that was just to find that evidence was like really powerful and then just sort of reflect on it. Yeah, like look, people like me. Like they don't like me because I can run half a marathon. They like me because of who I am. They truly care about me. And that was really powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what you're describing is one of the things that I'm always saying in the program is that your nervous system doesn't learn through affirmations. It learns through evidence. And so a lot of people can understand things conceptually, intellectually in their 5% of their conscious mind. My worth is not attached to my body. Or even, I love bringing people on like you who are very, very similar to me, that for so long we've operated from a place of give me the rules, tell me what to do. I'm going to be a good student. Like, as long as I've got my perfect standards and I do things according to how I've always done it, then I'm going to feel safe. I'm going to feel okay. I'm going to be able to get through the day. And so much of this work is getting you to chill, like
Mm.
showing your nervous system that it is safe to eat, even if it's not at the time that you're not used to eating. It is safe to eat foods that you're not used to eating. It is so much about safety. And do you feel like you've been able to develop more self-trust and more of an ability to create that internal safety through this process?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I've really learned, different ways to regulate my nervous system. Like one of my favorites is what are like the five things you can see? What are four things? Like that one, I really like that one. Sort of started to tap into my creative side.
Mm.
My husband gave me a paint by number of my, my dog for Christmas.
I love that.
And so I've been doing that and it just calms me, right? Like it just brings me down. The fact that I know how to do that when I'm in a situation, because I mean, there's always going to be situations where, you know, the, the noise, for lack of a better word, starts up again. And now I'm able to say, okay, that's interesting. What's going on? Why am I feeling this way? And how can I bring myself back?
Yeah.
So yeah, get curious, right?
Mhm.
Like you say.
Yeah. And one of the things that I think you were such a good example of is you went through this process, which we call the dark night of the soul in the program, where you started changing a lot and you started letting go of these beliefs that you had held on for decades that had kept you safe, had made you feel okay, gave you a sense of identity. You let go of patterns that gave you a sense of worth and accomplishment and success. Like, this work is unlearning and shedding things that are not serving you. And before you become this new version of you, before you solidify into this new identity where your beliefs feel like your own and you feel safe and you feel secure, there's this really confusing middle part where I describe it as like you go from being a caterpillar, you go into the cocoon, and in the cocoon, you have no idea where you're coming out of. It is dark and it is confusing. You don't know what's up and what's down. And so, how do you feel like having support as you went through that and being able to be in a group and talk through what you were going through allowed you to just ride that messy middle? Because so much of this is the messy middle before like you get into that beautiful success story. And so what was that like for you to ride that messy middle?
It was it was dark. It was really hard, because you're at that point where I think back to, like 6 months ago or 7 months ago, and I'm just like, "Ah, I have no desire to go back." Like, there's just no way, but you still don't know what it's gonna look like on the other side. Like, things are better, things are going well, and then what's gonna happen over here? Like, there was a few times I would just notice, I'm like, oh, I haven't like body checked in a few days. Should I be doing that still? And I'm like, no, 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 that's not who I am anymore. But it's interesting. It's curious, right?
Mhm.
Like you're just like, well, that's interesting. So yeah, like you're giving up these habits, check marks, boxes, whatever, but you still haven't quite got out of the cocoon yet, right? Like you haven't quite spread your wings yet. So it's really hard, but having the support of like the other women in the group and just hearing what they had to say, even though we were at maybe different points in our journeys, it's still similar, right? Like it's still very much the same, and we can
Yeah.
all lean on each other and cheer for each other and congratulate each other when something is going right, or even just to say, wow, like that must be really tough and we're here for you, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, so much of that was great.
Yeah, because so much of this, I don't think gets talked about enough is when you are going through the process of healing and of overcoming decades of food and body image issues, you're going to have those times where your old self, the self that has kept you safe and kept you okay, is going to want to pull you back because it's okay. This was so funny, but a couple of days ago, I was walking by the canal because I live right next to a canal and most of it was still frozen. But there was a little patch of water where a whole bunch of ducks and birds were hanging out in a big little crowd. And then there was one duck that had like walked all the way across the ice and was like so much further away from everyone. And I thought, this is such a beautiful representation of what healing feels like. You're like, I'm going to go somewhere that I've never been. And I don't know if at any point the ice is going to crack and I'm going to drown and I'm going to die. And you're just putting one step in front of the other. And every day you're just hoping that, okay, this is I'm going the right direction. I'm going to be okay. And so many people, the reason why they revert back to their old patterns has nothing to do with they're unmotivated, they don't have a strong enough why, they're undisciplined. It's because your nervous system is like, I've never been here before. I cannot predict this. And so we get pulled right into our old patterns because it's what has kept us safe. And
Yep.
so in those messy middle of like you're kind of floating in the middle of nothing, being able to just be reminded from people who have gone through it, hey, you're in the right place. Just keep trusting the process, keep doing it. That's how you keep putting one foot in front of the other. And you can finally figure out, okay, what is on the other side of this?
Yeah. And two, for me, I was at the point where I didn't know what was on the other side, but I knew it had to be better than where I was.
Hmm.
Like the pain of being where I was just I couldn't do it anymore. And so anything had to be better.
Yeah. And what is your life like now? Like, could you describe your relationship with food, with your body, with exercise now compared to what it was before?
So much better. Yeah, like, like I'm always going to be a person who likes to move my body. I think that's hardwired into my DNA, but now I can be like, like the 2 hour workouts or the 3 hour workouts are now like 45 minutes to an hour, right? And it's not like pounding cardio. I discovered yoga. Turns out I like yoga. um,
Yeah, that's a big one. Being able to discover like ways of moving your body that maybe you used to look at, oh, that's not intense enough. That doesn't burn enough calories. And then you get to
yeah,
diversify.
I know. Well, and I think too, I didn't do yoga before. I mean, because a it's it's just stretching and it doesn't count, but I didn't have the focus to do it.
Mm.
So I think that's a lot better too. As far as like food and eating goes, like I eat when I'm hungry, I stop when I'm full, I can have treats. Like the other night, I was out with some friends, and it was like a big pool tournament, and it was like pizza and wings and nachos. Like, and I'm just like, okay, this is what we're eating. This is fine, right? Like, just ate it, didn't think about it, went on with my night. So, and I don't think I would be like, what the hell is this crap?
Yeah.
And I find too, if I go, like if I'm going out to eat with friends, it's like I'm focused on the conversation, the friends, the people I'm with. Like the food is there, but it's secondary, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not so much tied to, I got to eat breakfast at this time and lunch at this time and dinner at this time. And once you're done dinner, that's it. You can't eat anything else, right? Like it's easy. Like I don't have to peruse the menu at home before I go out to the restaurant. I can just see what's on the menu when I get there, and that's okay. And in terms of like how I feel about myself and my body, I can't say I love all of it because I'm certainly, what's the word? I can appreciate it for what it does. And I would have to say I'm a whole lot kinder to it now, even though I am heavier. And that's just like I wouldn't go back. Like I just like it's just, yep, this is my body. This is okay. Like we went out for dinner for my dad's birthday a few weeks ago, and I tried on these pants that I hadn't worn in a year, and they did not fit. I mean, I could do them up, but I'm just like, I came downstairs. I'm like, I got to change these because, and my husband is like, why? I'm like, because they are too tight. And I will just be concentrating on the pants the whole night
Hmm.
if I wear them. So I just went up and put on a different pair of pants, and that was the end of it. Like I didn't think about it. Like I didn't dwell on it. I didn't be like, oh, well, I can't eat this or I can't have that or I have to exercise for no, they didn't fit. That's fine. Carry on. And that was huge for me. That was a big one for me.
Yeah. And what you're describing is, you know, we get caught in this mindset that everything I'm doing, this control over food, this control over my body, over exercise, is going to make me feel a certain way, right? It's going to help
Mhm.
me feel fill in the blank, confident, happy, successful, loved, accepted. And so then when we think about not doing those things, we go to the worst case scenario. I'm going to gain weight, and then I'm going to be so unhappy and I'm going to be miserable. And if you were to look objectively at how you feel on a daily basis now versus how you used to feel, what are most of the emotions that you get to experience?
Honestly, now I feel confident and I feel joy and like I feel happy and I feel grounded. You know, when you're doing all those things to control your body and your food and your exercise, there's always the chance that you're going to lose it, right? Like because it's not sustainable. And and now like I just yes, like I said, joy, freedom. I feel free. Like for the first time in a lot of years. I won't say how many because we don't need to talk about age. But I do. I feel like just a sense of inner peace. That's truly where I am right now.
Did you ever think that you would actually describe yourself as that if you asked yourself like a year ago?
No, no, I honestly, for me, because it had been going on for 40 years. Let's be honest, it's 40 years, so people can do the math. Um, and I never thought that this would be possible for me, that this recovery, the way I feel it right now, would be available. Like, honestly, I thought I was gonna the woman who died with all the eating and issues, and I don't feel that way anymore. Yeah.
Wow. What would you say to the person who is listening who used to be you and who can so relate? And when you've been struggling and trying to fix something for so long, of course, it's our natural tendency to just assume like I guess this is just it. And I'm going to resign to this life, it's the only thing that's available for me. And so can you speak to the woman who's listening who feels so stuck and so hopeless, who has tried everything? What would you want her to know? What would you want to say to her?
I would say you haven't tried everything and just have faith in yourself, like trust yourself that it doesn't have to be this way. And if you truly want freedom, it is available to you. It's not going to be easy. I mean, if it was just about, oh, I just have to stop this exercise and eat this food. Well, yeah, that's easy, but it's not. You have to do the inner work. And it's the inner work that is so hard and exhausting. And it's also the work that is so worth it.
Mm, I think that is the perfect way to end it and describe it because it's true. The inner work is uncomfortable as all hell, and it is confronting and is confusing. But oh my goodness, I use this analogy in the program that a rocket uses 80 to 90% of its fuel to get out of the atmosphere. And once it's up there, then most of its energy, it's just cruising.
Mm-hmm.
And doing that inner work and allowing yourself to go within, it's the only way. And it's whether you do it now or you do it 40 years from now, when you've lost another 40 years of your life,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to have to be done. And so
Yep.
that is such a beautiful reminder that it's required, it's hard, and it is so worth it.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Stephanie, for sharing your story. Do you have any last words, anything that you want to share before you close this out?
No, just thank you to you and also all the women who I got to meet through your program for their support as well. It has been invaluable. And I just wish have the courage to just take a chance on themselves.
Mm,
Yeah.
I love that. And that is it for this episode. If there's something that really stood out to you, I would love to hear it. You can find me at sabrina.magnon.health on Instagram. Send me a DM. I absolutely love hearing your biggest takeaways from these episodes. And if you're looking to get support, structure, and a community to guide you towards a healthy and empowered, a free relationship with food, with your body, with exercise, then you can join us inside of Food Freedom Academy. You can find all of the details at sabrinamagnon.com/FFA. The link is in the show notes as well. I love you so, so much. I absolutely believe in your ability to change, to heal, and to become someone who has ease with food and with your body. All right, my friend, I will see you on the next episode. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you found it valuable, I would love if you would share it with someone you know that could benefit. If you're loving the show, don't forget to subscribe over on Apple Podcasts so you don't miss a single episode. I really love hearing feedback from you, so please leave a rating and review over on Apple to help us get in the ears of more people who need it the most. Finally, come hang out with me on Instagram at Sabrina Magnon Health for more educational content and get up close and personal with me. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you on the next episode.